what? It would die, right? Because of the heat. It's not meant to live through heat and molten lava. Just couldn't do it, right? So it would die. And so he's saying the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. Well, what's going to happen when something erupts, right? There's going to be an effect from it, right? If you had a volcano that it was erupting in the ocean, what is it going to do? It's going to disrupt anything and everything around it, right? When we had even like earthquakes and things like that, where you might end up having a tsunami, right? Maybe if you had a hurricane of some sort, it's going to destroy all the ships, right? Because of all the water displacement and all the reaction that's going to come from that, okay? So it's saying again that the ships were destroyed. See, you're not going to stay on top all the time, Rome. All right, verse number 10. You got that one, Willeen?
And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters.
All right. Well, the third angel now sounded, right? He said there fell not just a star, it says a great star. What does that mean, that the great star fell?
Something mighty, strong.
Yeah. What are stars, by the way?
Light in the sky.
They're like the sky. Huh?
Planets.
No, stars.
Oh.
What are stars? Jordan? What are stars? Burning hydrogen.
Okay, man. That's all right. That's a scientific answer. I'll take that.
Okay, I'm mad at him. I agree with that.
That's a
Right?
scientific answer.
So believe it or not, that sun is nothing other than a big nuclear plant, so to speak. Right? Nothing but, believe it or not, it's magnetic. Right? There's different poles in it, correct? There's a lot of positives and negatives that's happening with the sun, right? There's a lot. When the sun is actually burning, which he's talking about is hydrogen, is burning, all of those gases are burning. There's poles, negatives and positives, right? It says something like you could put something like of the size of the earth, you could put something like 1,000,000 or something like that. Earths in the sun, something like that. In the sun. All of the planets that are in our solar system can fit within the size of the sun.
My Lord.
And our sun is a puny one. Our sun. The one that we
See all the time? Like right now?
get. The sun that we are receiving the benefit from.
Right.
That's a little sun. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have seen, I don't know, I get fascinated by it sometimes, but I've seen, where they show a pictorial of our sun, and then they keep going to the bigger one, to the bigger one, to the bigger ones, and the bigger ones. There are some stars, which are suns, right, that make our sun look like that.
Wow.
Like that. Yeah. I've seen them, right? The pictures of them in these particular videos, these science videos that you'll see. But the scripture is saying that a great star fell from earth, or fell to the earth. And so when it's talking about it fell, It's just saying, it literally, a star means a star. All right? Now, there are some stars that are smaller than ours. They call them dwarfs, right? Dwarfs stars, right? That means they're smaller. Some of them don't burn as much. Some of them are hotter, right, than the others. Some of them are so hot that they are not red anymore. They're, in fact, they turn a bluish color or even a white color. They're so hot.
I guess this is not literal.
Yes, it's not literal.
In which time is symbolizing that the third angel sounded and fell a great star from heaven burning as the world lamp and fell upon the third part of the rivers. What is this representing the time of the persecution of the church and Rome at that time?
All right. So when you look at the star, what is its representation is of somebody special. Somebody special. A star is a natural emblem of a prince, of a ruler, one who is of distinguished in rank or talent, right? And it says that the star falling from heaven would be a natural symbol of one who left a higher station, or one whose character, of course, would be like a meteor shooting through the sky. So what is it attributing to? Again, because it's not literal, a star, because if the star literally came to the earth, a great one, well, most stars are bigger than the earth, right? And it would totally destroy the earth. It was literally a star. And so it's not talking about literally a star, but a natural emblem of a prince or of a ruler, right? What do we call our people who are actors?
Stars.
We call them stars, right? Because there's something unique about them, something different about them, something special about them. Everybody can't be a star, right? They get to talking about, I don't know if y'all watching the NBA Finals tonight or not, but they talk about Tyrese Halliburton and Shea Gill Alexander, right? Gilchrist Alexander, who's the MVP. They say, is he a superstar? There's a debate whether or not they're superstars. Well, those people say no, they're not superstars. They're stars, but they're not superstars, right? So again, we recognize people as like a star or somebody who is special. And so here it says it there fell a great star, it said, from heaven. Well, who do you think that might be? Hmm? Yeah. Mm. I mean, it could be them. The Bible references that it gives me is one of them in Revelation chapter 9, verse number 1. It tells me, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
Oh.
Who is that?
Satan.
Mm-hmm. All right. Uh, when you look at Isaiah chapter 14, verse number 12, Isaiah 14 and 12, what does that say? You ain't there yet. That's right there.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the
we know that Lucifer was cast out from heaven, right? He was thrown out, right?
It's just amazing how the description of the son of the morning.
Yeah.
You just don't put morning, son of the morning with Lucifer.
Hmm.
I guess this is before.
This is Isaiah, and Isaiah is a prophecy.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe how bright he was.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because according to the description of him,
Right.
the description of him is that he was a beautiful angel.
Yeah.
Right. So, son of the morning, it signifies that the bright star is as it were the production of the offspring of morning, or that it belongs to the morning. The word son often thus denotes possession, or that one thing belongs to another. The same star in one place represents the Son of God himself. Jesus said, I am the bright and morning star in Revelation 21:6. So, maybe he was the son of the morning, right? Because remember again, Lucifer was where?
In heaven.
In heaven.
In heaven.
An angel.
God, yeah.
He was an angel
Absolutely.
who was cast down, right? Why?
Disobedience.
Disobedience. Anybody ever been disobedient? All of us, right?
Yes, absolutely.
The one thing about us is that we're not angels in the sense that made in heaven. See, when Lucifer made a mistake, that's it. No more chance.
Yeah.
Right? No more chance to get right. We have an opportunity to get it right. Yes.
Well, I can't speak for God, but it just makes me think that the fact that he has no repentance for it is that you live with me and you see all that I can do and you see who I am, and yet you still decided to be disobedient. For us, we never lived with God to see his complete glory and his complete power, as in saying when he says, you know what I mean? So for us, to say, okay, you guys have to give you repentance because you don't, how does it truly know? You know, but you don't truly know. Does that make sense? Because Lucifer he was there. I mean,
Yeah, but you see what? I understand what you're saying because of the fact that he was there in heaven, in the realm with God.
Exactly.
Right? But what about us? We are made in his image.
Yeah, we're made in his image.
We're made in his image. We're made special for him. They might look at us.
Same thing.
That's what I'm just trying to say, right? What's so special about us? Do you understand?
We are special.
Yeah, we are special.
That's
right? You're looking at them and saying, you're in heaven, and you see God, and you're around God all the time. But we, as humans, are very special in God's eyes.
Yeah, but we're made in his image.
We're made in his image. Right? We, people. That's why the forces of good and the forces of evil are battling for us. There's something special about us. And we don't get it. We'd rather just go ahead and live like doing our own thing because, again, the God of this world, his job is influencing us to stray away from God rather than go to him because he already knows what his fate is going to be, what his fate's going to be. Right? So he's doing a good job of taking us away from God, isn't he? And you know what? He's happy about that. He's trying to get as many folks as he can to go to hell. That's what he wants. Because he already knows where he's going. We read it. Revelation 9:1, he's going where? To the bottom of the spit. Right? That's where he's going. So the reality is that we're very special. And it looks like Lucifer, he was special too. Right? And he was again cast down. Right? It said it fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water. What does that tell you? That it fell on the waters. Right? Why is it significant about it burning on the waters?
It's almost like sometimes water does burn. I mean, fire does burn on water. That's the only thing I think about. When you see wars happen for whatever reason, you see fire still burning on top of the water. When it comes to a lot of destruction, so it really comes to mind.
What's the biggest part of this earth?
Water.
Water. Water is going to go where? Everywhere. Right? Water flows. Water has the ability to run, to go different places, right? However the wind blows, where's the water is going to go, right?
Yep.
We know this, right?
Yep.
We know that when it comes to rivers, right? The water is going to flow which direction? Downstream. Okay? So, when it goes downstream, it says it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water.
This will sound like a tsunami.
Doesn't sound like.
A tsunami.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't sound like it. Just says that it fell upon those things, right? So what is it going to do? Talking about a star that's fallen from heaven, what is it going to do? It's going to affect anything and everything that it hits, touches. Doesn't the Satan do that to us?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about anything and everything. His job is to affect us, right? Change us. Yeah.
Hold us hostage.
So is it safe to say this particular verse, like you said, is speaking about someone?
It is.
Speaking of someone that was special, probably God allowed him to have power, and he came with great destruction in Rome, and did all of this destruction for the fall of Rome. This here.
I think that there's some truth to that. It helps. There's some truth to it. Now, keep in mind, it represents somebody or something. We don't necessarily know exactly who from what I've been reading of who that might be. We do know when you get to the next verse, right? Revelation 8 and 11, what does it tell us there?
And the name of the star is called wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
So, wormwood is bitter, right? What happened to the life?
Dead.
Dead. Now, you know, have y'all heard of, what is it, red tide? Have y'all heard of that?
Red tide.
What's red tide?
When fish die, what is it? Sun is it what sun? Something happens and the fish die and then they wash up on shore.
Yeah.
Yeah, when all of them sitting on top of the water, right?
Yeah.
what happens? It's because of the algae buildup into the water becomes so bad, right, that it takes away the oxygen from the fish, and they all die, right? And in a sense, this wormwood is something similar in the sense that it's bitter, right? Remember when even the children of Israel, when they were out in the wilderness, and they like, Lord, you done brought us out here, and we ain't got no water to drink. We drinking from this bitter water. But what did he do? He provided them a what? A rock. And they got fresh water out of the rock, right? And so, again, certain waters are good. We call them sweet when it's good and fresh, like spring water, right? But then certain waters are bad, right? It's bitter. And that's what he's talking about. When the star fell, the star's name again is wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, which means they themselves, the waters, became bitter. And many men died. Well, guess what? You're going to die because, the water's not good. It's not good to drink.
Like the water was poison.
Yeah. Could have been. Right? So, the water was bitter. Right? And so, maybe, perhaps, what was going on, as you all know, we were talking about how Rome and all the wars and things like that was happening. The idea is that maybe the enemies are the ones, or the Vandals, who it's referring to here, right? They believe maybe perhaps one of them, one of their leaders, is perhaps, could be perhaps this particular warrior that looks like a star, desolating like a meteor, that an effect would be produced as if those streams and fountains were made bitter. That is, that many persons would perish, and that wide desolations would be caused in the vicinity of those rivers and streams, as if a bitter and baleful star should fall into the waters, and death should spread over the lands adjacent to them and watered by them. So, in other words, this gentleman is so strong and powerful that all the water and all the people that are around it, just like a river continues to distribute in other places. When the wormwood hit it, or when the wormwood would be around it, the waters themselves became bitter. So bitter that you couldn't drink, that you would even in fact die from it, right? And so what it's symbolizing here, it looks as though there was an individual, right, who was causing all this destruction all around and wherever he was at. Yes.
Is it safe to say then, because you say it's an individual, is it safe to say this individual with his army then?
Yes.
Right. Okay. They came to destroy Rome, so it had to have been a very strong army that really tactful and know the ins and outs of how to destroy Rome, to bring such destructions to the men of Rome and being able to destroy them in that capacity. But then that also shows that this is what God allows, and for that period of time for the destruction of Rome.
And so keep in mind that these Goths, is what it was, they call these groups of people, hold on a second, I have it right here. Alaric and Genseric, these groups of people, there were Gothics as well, who were, it says here, it is true that he was contemporary with Genseric, king of the Vandals, and that a portion of the operations of Genseric in Africa were subsequent to the death of Attila, but it is true that Genseric preceded Attila in the career of conquest and was probably the first in order, being pressed forward in Roman warfare by the Huns. So different groups of people were overtaking Rome at different times.
Right.
Different groups of people were there taking over. Because guess what? Every kingdom, like I said, will not stand forever. Right?
Worldly kingdoms.
Huh?
Worldly
Worldly kingdoms. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Because Christ's kingdom will last forever. Amen. Thank you. So I'm talking about this Rome empire is not going to last forever. The third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So when you drink bad water, it can make you sick.
Absolutely.
Right? And so who's to say that, again, these men coming in, taking over Rome, this is what they were doing, killing them. Right? Yeah. Well, the water, but it was really symbolic of a fight. Right. This, again, pictorial of John's vision is not literal. Again, I hope I'm not losing some of y'all. I see a few of y'all struggling.
Rivers.
All of this is pictorial.
Well, yes, but not literal. It was more of a conflict, representation of a conflict.
Correct. You okay? Looks like the question was coming.
They have, like I just keep saying that because they have to speak in codes. So to bring comfort to them, because I would have never got that if it's like the truth. But the fact that they have to speak in codes based on the fact that they were being
Persecuted, absolutely.
And for us, it's a little kind of hard because we're so what it is. That's what we think.
Yeah.
But for them at that time, hearing this, they understood that it's the destruction of Rome and how it's going to be destroyed, and God is telling them exactly bit by bit of how the destruction of Rome is going to come about. And so it brings comfort to them. For us, it's a little because our minds are so warped into what we're reading. But for them at that time, I truly believe they saw it. Like however it was, how the way that it was written, they already saw that exactly what it represented at the time.
All right.
That's a good coding though. Wow.
Verse number 12.
And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was dark and ended, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise.
So think about it. Huh?
Thinking a lot of smoke.
Smoke.
Yeah, like a lot of fire, smoke, burning of stuff. Because when you have a lot of things burning, it's a cloud of smoke that's dark, and that's what my thought was.
Okay. So it said a third part of the sun was smitten. What does that mean that it was smitten?
Ooh, smitten with something. To life.
Like a smash.
Mm-hmm. Strike.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Right? It says smitten means to pound. That is figuratively to inflict with smite. Right? So it's saying a third part of the sun was smitten. And the third part of the moon. And the third part of the stars. Right? Were smitten. Yeah. So
eclipse.
Like an eclipse.
Yeah, it's similar to an eclipse because at the time when you have an eclipse, then parts where you have the eclipse, it's darkened, and that's
Excuse me.
what blessing. That's where it says, and the day shone not for the third part of it. So even though it was day, it didn't seem to be day because it was darkened.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Uh, hitting me. It's raining.
When they talk about like it's a the solar eclipse, and they talk about the different parts of the, because the whole moon don't turn like that. You have a part of it that's dark and a part of it that still looks like you have light. They tell you that you can't look directly on it. You need a certain kind of glass.
Yeah.
It's, I don't, so just this literal moon and sun? Because I don't think we're talking, if this, in this particular verse, is it the literal moon and sun?
No, we're talking, all this is pictorial.
Right, so what would the sun and the moon would represent something else other than a literal moon and sun?
Huh?
This is all pictorial, representing something
Yes.
else.
Yes.
So I'm saying the moon and sun would not be an actual moon and sun. It would represent something else.
Right. It's talking about the government calamity. Thank you. Right? Calamity will come as darkness. Right? You talked about an eclipse. Right? That's what we're talking about with an eclipse. Just pay attention. Okay? But talking in code. Yeah, I see all three of you. Okay?
Oh, I thought you meant you ain't. No, he's talking
No.
about them, the guys.
Behind you.
She's like that. I'm like, what did we do? No.
No. Okay. So there are a series of calamities that we're talking about, right? And so even what happens in different countries today
Yeah.
affect other countries, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. What's happening today, right now?
With the oil and the
With the oil,
Wars and
with
terror
the
wars
wars
and
that's
all
going
sorts
on.
of
what's happening? Iran and Israel.
And Israel with the
Is
war.
that affecting anybody?
Yes. Everybody.
Will that maybe even affect us?
Yes.
it will.
Because eventually we're probably going to find ourselves
Caught up in.
caught up in it,
Yeah.
right? What's happening with Ukraine and Russia? They've been fighting for years. Years.
So we all get part of
And does that affect us too?
Oh yeah.
I mean, our taxpayer dollars are going to pay for some of the munitions that are on its way over to Ukraine. That affects us.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the calamity and when, things are happening to other countries, it affects other countries too. This is why we're talking about a third part. A third part of this, a third part of that, third part. All these things get affected when something happens. We have these Trump tariffs that are happening.
Yeah.
Are we being affected by that?
Oh yeah.
You can rest assured that is, right? So, yeah. So, there's going to be problems. There's going to be trouble. And again, when you're dealing with governments, it means that calamity will come as if darkness was spread over the sun, the moon, and the stars, leaving the world in gloom. Right? What is the precise nature of the calamity is not indicated by the language, but anything that would diffuse gloom and disaster would accord with fair meaning of the symbol. There are few circumstances, however, in regard to this symbol, which may aid us in determining its application. Right? It would follow in the series of calamities that were to occur. It would be separated in some important sense of time, place, or degree from which those were to follow. For there is pause here, and the angel proclaims that more terrible woes are to succeed this series. So many things are going to happen, right? And its effect was on, like I said, the third part of the world, right? So, fourth angel sound, the third part of the sun was smitten. What happened when Jesus died?
The place
From
became
dark.
It became dark,
Mhm.
right? When Jesus died on the cross, did it become dark?
Yes.
Where?
Over the earth.
Mm-hmm. It became dark, right? Over the earth. We have various scriptures where Jesus talked about tribulations. And he talked about, again, where the sun's going to be darkened, right? In Matthew 24:29, it says what? Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heavens shall be shaken. Mark chapter 13, verse number 24. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. In Luke 21:25, Jesus said, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the seas and the waves roaring. Hmm? Yeah. Jesus is talking about what's going to happen. So again, this is not anything unknown to those inhabitants of the seven churches. If they've read the scriptures, they've read it, Jesus has already said this is going to happen. Right? So they're recognizing, in a sense, this is what's going to eventually take place. Wow. I just looked up at the time.
Just got here.
Wow. And so, that's what we're seeing in the text. Right? What else does it tell us, right? Maybe perhaps why can these things happen? 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse number 4. Let's start at verse number 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse number 3 and 4.
But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them.
Mm-hmm. So, again, the God of this world, his job is to destroy.
Yeah.
God of this world, I'm talking about little g.
Yeah.
Right.
All right? The God of this world, his job is to make everything dark, to disrupt, cause confusion. So keep in mind, what we've got to do again when we read the book of Revelation, it's not literal. It's just a pictorial of what is going to happen. It's written in code, written in a way. If you know what the scriptures are talking about, you see that there is symbolic language for destruction, for, again, calamity, for a lot of change. That's the word. A lot of change is going to take place. You just have to be ready, right? And for them, they're ready for change. They were under Roman persecution. They wanted a change. All right, our time is up. I'm going to ask, thank you for your comments and your participation. I'm going to ask Brother Dane if he would come and